Hello, my name's Dick Fleming, and during the Vietnam War, I was a member of First Force Recon and Recon Battalion, and I've been telling my stories on this channel, and also on in a book that I wrote called Chasing Charlie, which is available on Amazon. So, a Force Recon Marine in Vietnam. I also have a website called firstforcerecon.com where there's photographs and links to other resources in the reconnaissance community or in the Vietnam era. So you might be interested in that as well. It's called firstforcerecon.com is the URL. So today I'd like to talk to you about that strange thing called luck, and I'd like to tell you about one of the luckiest guys I ever knew. And his name was Truman. Well, that's his nickname that we called him. He was a cowboy, he said, from Arizona. He lived on a ranch and apparently got up to some trouble, and they gave him the option of either joining the Marine Corps or going to jail. And he decided to join the Marine Corps. And that seemed to happen a lot, particularly in the southern states. The judges seemed to give that option to a lot of guys, and he took it. And he was one wild, crazy guy, I have to say. And I can't tell you how many times he either got me into trouble or he got himself into trouble or got somebody else into trouble. And he was always smiling and happy and joking around, but if deviltry was ever inside someone, it was in Truman. So I'll tell you a story. One time he was in a bunker in Hanoi. He came under a mortar attack, and a mortar round came in to hit his bunker directly. Went through 2 rows of sandbags and a steel plate without exploding. It was a dud. But if it had gone off, everybody in the bunker would have been killed. But no, Truman's luck held. So that was just one example. It was time and time again that he managed to avoid getting killed. There's one story, however, that sticks in my mind. We were on a patrol together. I guess there was about 6 or 7 of us, and we were deep in the boonies, and we had spotted some enemy troop movement in this valley, and we had called in for an airstrike. Well, a lot of times before they did the airstrike, they would send in what they call a bird dog, which was a single-engine plane, like a Piper Cub or a Cessna. It was unarmed. It had smoke rockets, so that the pilot could fire those smoke rockets to indicate to the fighters that would come in later, or the bombers, exactly where they should drop their ordnance. And these guys were really, that took bravery, believe me. All they really had was, I think, a 45. They had no protection at all, and there was not even armor in those lightly built planes. And they were flying slow and low, in order to achieve their objective. Boy, they really had moxie. Let me tell you. One of my friends, when I used to fly for the Civil Air Patrol after I got out of the service, was a bird dog pilot, and boy, the stories that he could tell. But in this case, we had called in for the airstrike, and we were trying to move toward a hill that was in the distance that would give us a place to be extracted and where we could monitor the effects of the strike. And so Truman and I and the other men made our way up into this hill. We thought that we'd be able to be extracted there, because normally on the very top of the hill there was usually a place where the aircraft could land, the C-46 helicopter could land. But in this case, when we got closer to it, we realized that the the C-46 couldn't land there because of there was a lot of jungle cover on top of the hill, and we would have to blow a landing zone. So we were getting ready to do that, to blow the trees off the top of the hill, so that the helicopter could come in and land and take us out. And we got a call from the radio that the bird dog spotter plane had spotted that troop movement that we had seen earlier, and he said that they had spotted us. They had spotted our team, and there was one or two companies moving toward us along the valley. And he said, "You guys got to get out of there right now, and I'll call in some airstrikes, and we'll try to help you out. But you're in serious trouble." So we called in for the helicopters, and Truman went up to the top of the hill there to blow the trees away so that he could land. But it was too dense up there. He said, he couldn't get them all, and so we were in contact with the helicopter, the C-46, and he said, "Well, maybe I can set it down, on the side of the hill." Well, that hill was fairly steep, and so I wasn't sure about how he could do it. But in a remarkable flying, and these guys were really good, he decided that what he could do was hover over on the side of the hill like this, backwards, and then drop the landing ramp, and we could get in. So that meant that he's actually not landing exactly, but sort of hovering with his rear deck there, just sort of bouncing lightly on the side of the hill. So I drew this picture so you can get a feel for what it is. So the helicopter here, the C-46, is hovering, and you can see that the blades here, he has to be real careful. If those blades hit the side of the hill, he doesn't have much room. If they hit that solid hillside, he would crash. I mean, there was no question about it. So Truman was up here, and we called down to him. Come on down here. Come on, we're gonna get extracted. So he starts running down the hill like this, and with that, I hear a thump, a big thump, and I thought for sure that we'd been mortared, and some of the other guys said, "Incoming, incoming!" they cried, and with that, at the same time, I felt something slam into my back, and I reached back, and it was all wet back there. I said, "Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm going to die on this hill. I'm going to bleed to death." And I was called medic. Well, I'm laughing now. That's what I call medic. And I saw Truman. He was thrown by the blast down the hill toward me. I thought for sure he was dead because he was just laying there. Well, I crawled over to him, and the medic crawled over to me, and the medic turned him over and said, he seems all right. He's not hit. Let me see you. And I said, something hit me in the back, and I thought for sure, half of my back was going to be blown away there, the way it felt. And he says, I don't see anything. It's wet back there. I don't see anything. Well, it turned out that Truman had walked right into that blade of that C-46, and it had cut right through his web gear, and his canteen had been thrown off and hit me in the back. And he sat up and ran ran up the ramp into the back of the helicopter that was bouncing around on the side of the hill there. and I sort of hobbled in after him. But can you imagine that? I mean, when you looked at his canteen later, it was cut like it took an axe and cut it right in half. You know, he must have missed his body by an inch, and he was completely unscathed. So we made it back, got into the helicopter. What a feat of flying that was. You know, when you think about it, the pilot was actually backing up into the side of the hill and dropping that ramp down there so that we could get on. Boy, those guys knew what they were doing. They really had the skill that was necessary. And I don't know how many times they went in after us to risk their own lives, time and time again. And you know, after that escapade, I got a K-bar for them. They didn't have K-bars. They had little tiny knives, about this long. I got a K-bar, and in the sheath, on the sheet in magic marker, I wrote the name of our team, Forefather, and I gave it to the pilot in appreciation. And usually we had the same pilots over and over and over again. You know, so they knew us and we knew them, and they actually felt very protective toward us. But those guys, they deserved every bit of credit they could get. And Truman, he brushed it off like it was nothing. And the next patrol, we were on the next patrol, and he was up to more deviltry. We were in a base camp, and he was determined to steal the flag, the North Vietnamese flag, off of their flagpole. I don't know. I'll tell you this in another story, because it's another story well worth talking about. But that's how luck works. A matter of inches, and I don't know what to say about it. I mean, there was definitely a guardian angel that was taking care of me. I mean, I have no doubt about that. I don't see how I could have survived otherwise. But maybe the God that gives out luck, also wants to be paid, because I heard that if he had gotten out of Vietnam, that he had gotten. I heard from my friend Slim that Truman had gotten into a barroom brawl and killed someone, and was in the penitentiary in one of the western states. So maybe luck, maybe his luck ran out. I guess it did. If that story's true, I can only rely on what Slim told me, and that was 50 years after Vietnam that I heard that. So, hope you enjoyed my tale, and hope you'll come back, give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you liked it, enjoyed it. Thank you very much.